Hello YouTube, welcome back to another Citizen Tech Talk episode. Guys, you've already seen the episode already of Quid Pro Quo. This is the new series of how our channel will be running in future. And discussing everything Star Citizen, taking a different approach, different angle on the way I've always done things. I now have a new channel partner, as you know. He's awesome and a fantastic bloke and a really nice guy, super intelligent and a great friend. So guys, this was the testing video prior to our official first streamed video that we've just already put up for you already. But we covered things in this episode prior to the video you've just seen that didn't get covered in the video we've done. So I thought I might use the draft video, our test video, as the video that is a bit of a value add, I guess, to what we didn't cover already in our first episode. But guys, I hope you enjoy the new format. I hope that you guys are enjoying the banter, the fun, and the laughs. We will be doing some more improvement to the stream itself with adding banners down each side and left and right with who we are and what we stand for in Star Citizen as well, for a bit of comedy and also better outline for new viewers, who's the pro, who's the con, who's the skeptic, who's the optimist. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy this one as well. It's just a meeting of minds in a bar in Star Citizen. My head would not render for some reason, so I'm the headless horseman. But anyway, guys, welcome to the episode. Have a good one. Press the red button again. So I guess just say heads up.
Heads up.
Right, high stakes hunter without a head. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So we've still got to work out the elevator glitching thing, but I think what it is certain planets have your traditional mechanical elevators that they brought in to start with, and I think the rest are all nation's location. Because that's the thing, you don't want to spend half your day in an elevator. You do enough of that in real life, right?
Well, I think the elevators. I think that the elevators are implemented because there's actually no mechanical way for there to be 6 different entrances to an elevator, and everybody be able to get in that elevator, and all those elevators go in the same place. If you look at real life elevators, they all go up in the same down along the same track. There's no way for 6 elevators in 6 different locations to all go to the same location. Yeah. And then at the same time, it's just not mechanically possible.
Well, the thing is, what they did before with Lawville and that, before Hurston at least, they had one side which had elevators up to one number, and on the other side up to the rest of the numbers. Now they've obviously completely abolished that and then brought in this magic elevator system in its place. And I think, the way they've done it is better than it was before. Before you actually had to run to which elevator had the right platform to go to, and that was a bit of a pain, especially if there's a lot, you're going to be waiting up to half an hour, 45 minutes just to get the right elevator to go to the right platform if you're not lucky or you're not there quick enough. So it's a good thing. They've sped it up. I guess some other good things I've noticed today is, well, geez, you respawned in your ship with cargo in it, and you managed to get back to Olisar, repair it, and then go off and sell the cargo. That was amazing. That was something that's a 3.9 thing and 3.8. So I'm pretty stoked by that. What do you reckon?
Well, I was really surprised when I actually spawned in my ship, because as I was saying earlier, I 30K'd, and when I spawned in the ship, I was like, where am I? And I looked up, and I'm in my pilot seat. And this was 5 days ago that I 30K'd. So what was even crazier is that another person was also running one of my ships, because I have 2 moles, and I do like a mining operation. So I had another person in the mole. And when I 30K'd and went to bed, he flew that ship while I was offline, in my bed. He flew that ship to Everest Harbor. And when I logged on today, 5 days later, the ship was still there at Everest Harbor, and it still had all the cargo in it. And I was able to fly the ship that he flew while I was offline and sell the cargo out of it, which was something I never even expected.
Yeah, that itself is something that, wasn't even promised yet. It's a step forward, and I think that's, the Colders have something to do with that, just to put it nicely. I believe also that, with the changes that have happened in the last few months, let's say 7 months, the speed of production, the quality of production getting done, CitizenCon, although it was quite mundane this year, it wasn't a train wreck mess like it was in 2018, or 2948 for those hardcore players. 2949 was good in that respect. It covered things, and it didn't have massive problems. It had a couple little glitches, but nothing to discuss other than VoIP not working, and the FOIP as well. That ruined CitizenCon this year for me. For other people, they probably just, didn't care. But for me, from a technical standpoint, that was. But look, the rest of the day was pretty good. Today, look, honestly, we haven't had a single server crash yet. You had a client crash, but not a server crash. And that's, and being in Australia, it's kind of what you expect to happen. Not once yet today. So that in itself is a very redeeming quality for them got done in the last less than 12. Is there anything else of note other than the little bugs we saw tonight, not being able to call the hangar guys to get out of the hangar and stuff?
Well, so I think it was the server that we were on. The server we were on didn't have, you couldn't call elevators at Everest. You couldn't call the landing folks, is what it is. But speaking about server metrics, there's like a server metrics things in Star Citizen. I had to find a link, but according to the metrics, the past week has been the stable it's ever been when it comes to server crashes. And if you give me a second, I'll be able to find that and show that to you.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, so that in itself is showing that there is something happening for the positive for the players now. Now, up until now, I've been saying, it's a tech demo, IP up for sale and, resale and etc. so forth, and the players have been completely ignored to date. And that was true until probably October last year, with 3.7 just being 3.7, and now we're getting those quality of life improvements that they were promising, and they're actually happening now in reality, no longer words. We're actually getting results. So I'm quietly optimistic. Still the not the pessimist, but the technical skeptic. And I think that's where I need to still keep that reality check and separation from falling back in love with Star Citizen too quick, because as we've seen in the past, we've had patches fix things and then other patches, So, but look, from what I've seen today playing with you and the fun we've had, the fact we can't glitch into elevators is a little bit upsetting, because I did want to show people behind the scenes of actually how the elevators are moving and so on and so forth, hopefully. But at the end of the day, I think we've had, great stability. We've not had any major problems. The bugs we've had are far less than ever before. And I've actually had a bit of fun mucking around in Star Citizen for once. Instead of things to work or crash or fall through stuff, we're just mucking around having fun, trying to break things, and we can't. And that's a massive leap forward for the game.
So, to kind of change topics, in the past previous videos, one of your biggest subjects is that Star Citizen can't work because we're waiting on service meshing, and it just won't happen. And I've kind of showed you over the past few days examples of PlanetSide 2, how they implemented it, how they implemented server-side OCS, client-side OCS, and other things that I've linked you to get 1,000 players in the same map. I've linked you Second Life just as an example of static server implemented 10 years ago, how Planet Side 2 that put the 1,000 players in the battle was built with only $30 million. That tech costs only $30 million. And you see how much money we get. I was telling you earlier, like in November and December, we can get $30 million in 1 month. So now that I've shown you a few things and you kind of went on this journey with me, what do you think about server meshing and the state of the game and the future now that we've gone over this?
I believe that static server meshing will have its place, and it won't improve anything, but it will happen. SSOCS, once that's polished, I think will eliminate a lot of the static server meshing issues. I believe we will get more star systems. I believe that the ship crashed into the station. What a moment, right? Just to have an exclamation there. But we will get more space stations. We will get more solar systems. We will get more. What I really hope for is interaction with alien species. The Banu and the Xi'an, I think the Xi'an are the ones we're meant to get first contact with for the game now, and then the Banu. I would have preferred it the other way around. I find the Banu are more of your commerce, mining, what do you call it, infrastructural kind of race, where that would help with a lot of organisations growth, where the Xi'an are very technical, technology and weapons. I believe that the Banu for the economy, especially for mining guys, like, you look at DG, he's a mining, and I think for a lot of organisations to get that the piggy bank filled up for persistence, which we kind of have seen today, I guess, to be real and no resets, that those UEC, once they convert from alpha to full retail UEC, whether we get to keep those alpha UEC and transfer them across or not, I believe we should, after everything we've gone through over 8 years to date. If that is the case and they do actually get people to transfer from a UEC to just UEC, and all this hard work and mining and all the work that orgs are doing now for the economy side of things get to keep that hard work in their banks, I believe the Banu would be a much better implementation in that respect, to really drive the economy forward. Specialisations, medical, as well as exploration, as well as specialised roles within organisations, to be able to bankroll that to happen. Meeting the Xi'an first, I don't see the financial benefits. I see the technology benefits, obviously, and being a pirate and take ships down quicker with black market weapons. That's great, but I believe we first need to focus on what's important. That's the economy. Then worry about warfare afterwards. Static servers, server meshing, I think, to be honest with you, will be introduced alongside SSOCS for warp gates as well as quantum to speed up those times, because as you said yourself yesterday, that it takes up to 2 to 5 minutes to jump from one location to another, like Olisar to Hurston, for example. That can take up to 5 minutes depending on your ship. And I believe that the server or static server meshing with SSOCS should really minimise that travel time, because we do not, as players, want to be travelling 45 minutes of our day to then play for an hour. I don't see the return on investment or the value or the immersive argument there being of there. Hopefully, that all comes together and they try the static server meshing out with the jump gates and the quantum, and it works, and they put it together like a patchwork quilt, as I was saying today, as best they can for now, to give us a game. And I think that's what just anybody who is anybody in the Star Citizen community, whether you've bought an Aurora or a Mustang, or you've bought a Legatus pack or bigger, we just want to get in and play our game. And I think that's what it is. Work with what other people have already made. If it already works, just apply it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, as I've said before. And let's just get Star Citizen retail. And work on making it better over time, as Chris has said a billion times in past. And when server meshing is a technologicality, then implement it there. It comes at the time. But in the meantime, get us a game. I think most people would be more than happy to have 200 people on the server, let alone 1,000, which would be phenomenal, because then you can have Armadial battles. But that's what I'm saying, you know. Give us a bare minimum product, as has been promised so many times, and yeah, just get it out there, get it to us. Let us put up with the bugs and the problems, because we're so used to it already. It's most of the time, like today with the bugs we saw today, I giggled. I didn't get angry because, you know, we're veterans and we've been in the game forever, and this is the least bugs we've seen. So this for us is like almost, wow, this is actually a real game now, and there is quality of life for players. End the game as promised in 3.6 to get into your ship without having to worry about going through Olisar or your Hurston, wherever, to get out of a stupid bed to get in your ship after getting trains and trams everywhere, which is a bloody nightmare. The fact you got straight in and get in your ship, kept the cargo, the actual ore was inside the box still. You got your ship bad bruised back from, you know, Walkabout City, and so where are we now? What's planet?
So we're currently at Eberissa Harbor above Lorville. Currently, we're sitting in the R&R station in the bar, but I want to just kind of clarify and laser focus my question. Earlier, it was, you know, if you've watched a few of your videos, and especially like most of the more recent ones, it was a lot of doom and gloom, and it was, oh, you know, Star Citizen can't be built because it's going to be hummed up by server meshing, and that's going to take 10 years. After everything that I've shown you, do you think that the MMO Star Citizen can be built? It can be built now, and it's on the way. Now, a better version that gets, you know, that we can get 1,000, 3,000, because the tech we've already get, you know, PlanetSide 2, which is also an FPS MMO, not the same, you know, it's very different, but it's gotten 3,000 people into the same server, you know, 1,000 players in the same battle in the same area. You know, it'd be like 1,000 players in this space station fighting. PlanetSide 2 has done that already. So now that we kind of, you've seen that tech, you know it exists, and again, like I said, that was 5 years ago in 2015. It's 2020 now. Do you think the MMO could still happen? Is my big question.
Yes, a bare minimum viable product for now works. Yes, it won't be everything that was promised, but it will be something we can play. And what they have to focus on now, I think, is SSOCS. Smash it out. It's software program, hardware related. It's of OCS, right? And if they're going to be high and go, right, look, we can't do dynamic server meshing, which is what I've been talking about all this time, so doom and gloom about, as you said, because it's just a pipe dream. It is so much folly. It's not achievable. But PlanetSide 2, Second Life, as you said, doing static of servers, you know what? I'd be happy to have, if I'm flying, let's say, Hurston to Levski, right? I go through a mini jump scene, right? Because of the, you know, static server meshing is not wonderful, and it gives that 10, 15, 20 second delay between jumping servers. If that's just added into the warp quantum jump, as we were talking about yesterday, I'll be more than happy.
So here's, I'll let you continue, but pretty much what he's saying is we're talking about Second Life, and in Second Life, you have regions that are kind of each one their own server, and they're all grid squared, and you can switch between one. You can look into the other one, see the other players in the other one, and then walk out of one server and into the other one. But you have to cross a boundary, and it takes like 10 seconds to outload the data of the other one and load the new one in order to be able to. That's when he's talking about the time of crossing servers. That's what he means, that delay and that where you're frozen in place. But I said you could be frozen in place in the you know, you could be if everybody's in their seat in a constellation, you can be frozen and notice it. And then, and the timer's still kicking down. You still think that you're quantuming normal, but you're actually crossing right now and you don't even realize. Same thing with an elevator. Is that same thing applies with the elevator? You get in the elevator and then you cross into a planetary landing zone. So now like for instance, Lorville is on its own server. You don't even notice it because it happens while you're in the elevator en route. And because the elevator takes 10 seconds, you don't even notice. But go ahead. I'll let you continue.
No, that was excellent. Thank you for the input. And that's what I guess I've been so focused on getting the point across with, is all Chris Roberts and CIG had to do is accept they couldn't go all the way straight away. It's like when you're 16 years of age and you have a really hot girlfriend and, it's the first time she's going to, and you're going to, and it's all very awkward and all very scary, and then she goes no at the last minute. That's where we're at with server meshing, is we can get static, we can get to third base, but we can't get to home base yet. And we have to accept that, be patient, and understand, okay, we can still muck around and be, do stuff, but not that big thing, right? Your life-changing thing. And that's what I've been so angry about, because CIG themselves weren't willing to even look at static server meshing. They weren't even willing to look at OCS in conjunction in place of server meshing. And there's other games, as you've just said, that are already doing it, have been doing it for a very long time. So, everything from Star Citizens is something borrowed, something blue, and something old and something new. It's like getting married. But the thing is, there's certain times you have to accept you can't always have your cake and eat it, straight away at least. And, that's the thing. It's like when you make a coffee. You've got to wait for the kettle to boil before you can pour it. And trying to just go, nothing but the best. I want premium limousine service for Star Citizen. And we will wait 30 years if we have to until I get what I want. And the good thing about what's happened with the cold is the mistake that Sandy made and Chris took the fall for is actually a blessing in disguise for everybody involved. So yes, we will get a bare minimum viable product. We will get at least, I'd say, this is pure opinion here, but I'm going to say we're going to launch with at least 5 solar systems. What do you reckon?
Recently I just heard Board Gamer, before I get back to the social, he was talking about in his just latest video about dynamic server meshing is what Chris Roberts talked about when, I'm on a Connie and 100 people get into the pilot seat, 100 people get into the pilot chamber, and then 100 people get in the cargo bay, and it makes it its own server and just spools up a server right there for the cargo bay to separate them. That's what he's talking about, dynamic server meshing. But Board Gamer was just talking about static server meshing, which is, having zones in space where you just cross over, not even knowing, into a whole nother server, which that tech already exists. Now, when it comes to solar systems, I think we're going to launch with a lot more than 2. I think Pyro is going to come this year, and and Squadron 42. See, there's a lot of people that debate over Squadron 42. It's like, oh, Squadron 42 is holding up the persistent universe. It is and it isn't. I tell them all the time, name something in Squadron 42 that's developed only for a Squadron 42 that can't be implemented in Star Citizen. So when if you just think of the visual teaser, for instance, you're flying through the universe and you're seeing all this thunderstorms and all that. All these are locations in the universe that have already been built, and that when you go to that system, you can go to that. This is where I was in Squadron 42. You can say that because it's all the same systems. There's no system that takes place in Squadron 42 that isn't going to be in Star Citizen. And because of that, and because pieces of the systems have already built, I'm saying more than 5. By release, come 3 or 4 years from now, we could have 12, 24, 30 systems, much more than 6. What do you think about that?
I agree, yeah. And that's the thing. If they just stick to this new deadline and reach these milestones consistently every quarter, and they don't put too much on the roadmap anymore. I'm sure the Colders actually held a general meeting with the senior management. That's Brian, that's Sean, that's the tall thin guy with the goatee. Not Brian. He's not that tall. Jim, whatever his name is, he was probably sat down as well, and I guarantee you there's something being said like, okay, what's on this roadmap? Is that going to be achieved in this many weeks? Well, no. Why is it on the roadmap then? Because we like to, give people hope and showcase what's coming up. Okay, you're misleading your audience. Cut the crap out to show me what you can deliver right now. Well, this, and this. So, okay, why didn't you just put that up the roadmap in the first place? Get rid of all the rest of the fluff and actually put on the roadmap what can be completed. Thank you. So there has been a shift in the way the actual game's getting made now. Business people are making business leadership decisions and looking at Gantt charts and milestone aggregation. This is awesome because this continues in this fashion moving forward. Yes, we might lose a lead manager, right? A lead designer or a lead programmer. But you know what? Doesn't these days. We're so easily replaced. And if that needs to be done to improve the throughput and output of work, so be it. It's business at the end of the day, guys. But if they can consistently stick to this, recipe for success, then we are going to actually, as yourself, mate, 3 to 4 years actually have Star Citizen. And then in another 3 to 4 years after that, look at ray tracing. Start looking at dynamic server meshing past concept phase into trialable phases. And obviously that'll be a lot of PTU stuff. Maybe not even get released to the PU because, it's experimental, etc. And they've got to pay for the server time at Amazon as well. Keep that in mind. But I believe we will get a retail version which is playable, enjoyable, and for a far majority of backers who are not tech heads like us, means they won't see that half of a millisecond transition between servers. They'll analyze what's going on behind Quantum. They won't even begin to even think about anything other than trying to just get through those jump gates without crashing out of them and ending up in no man's land in space. So, for a majority, I'm going to say, this goes retail. Yes, it will bring a lot of new backers in, but for this to be a success in 3 to 4 years, in my opinion, and this is an opinion, yes, a first opinion on my channel, whoopee ducks, deal with it. That opinion is Squadron 42 has to come out by Christmas this year. Episode 1 at a very bare minimum. We have to have that to drive into the 3 to 4 year cycle now, when then we go retail with SC. Then we have second episode, third episode, and so on, to then ready people into beta, so that beta, how you want to call it, to then just end up the final chapter of the single player game, to then a month or so later have Star Citizen go retail. If they time that perfectly and concisely and succinctly, then you will have a massive amount of people buying Squadron 42 and SC, hands down. And they won't just buy an Aurora MR or a Mustang or even a Hornet. They will probably buy their favourite ship that they had in the single player game, i.e. a Cutlass Black, for example. So this is the marketing, but also it's the business management of success. If they follow that formula, that recipe of P, and they do not step a foot out of line that entire time, yes, we will get there. We will have a viable base game to start with, and another 5 to 10 years we're going to have something that doesn't even resemble to body suits like in what's it called, First Play. Probably be literally walking around the universe ourselves and walking into our ships in our space and our body suits and stuff. Okay, we're at the very, 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 very beginning, at the first tip of the iceberg towards game. But my main frustration has been the wasted 4.5 years have been wasted to catch up now. Maybe we got this all sorted 4.5 years ago, where we'd be now. And I'm not talking about game engine, server meshing, I'm talking about all the other development elements, especially star systems.
Well, I'm just going to make this a quick note. Look at your own time. Look up Tesla's suit. I don't know if you've known, but pretty much all the tech that was in Ready Player One, all that exists. The full body VR suit, the fingers that feed back to your hands, all that exists in a prototype state. But getting back off of that, Star Citizen, I really think. Before I get into that. I just want to say, I've seen I've seen some YouTubers that I follow as well, come into your comments and kind of have to argue in the comments with you. I really don't. I think a lot of people underestimate how approachable are. How to me, you came across as hostile and maybe just a little bit toxic. No insult to you when I say that, but that's kind of like the perception you got. And then you get in here and you talk to you and you associate with you and you say, hey, man, this guy's, you can be really good friends with this guy. He listens. He's very intelligent and very approachable. Getting into you a little bit, why do you think that you have that perception of hostile, like a hater, we talked earlier about, I'll be the lover and you're the hater, or you're the pessimist and I'm the optimist. I mean, I don't think that. I think you're just a real guy. What do you think? Why do you think that you have this perception, to have this aurora or this reputation of what you currently have? Why do you think that is?
Well, with Montoya, he's a big personality, not a very warm, decent person, very shallow and very superficial. He has spent a lot of time, I think too much time, working with CIG and the organisation org that really pretty much no longer exists anymore, thanks to my efforts over 2 years, to cause so much trouble with the metagame and bully people who they believe that they can single out and demonise. And that's what happened to me. I got the, Mr. Red Squadron leader. The man who made it just atrocious. Things went so bad because he caused it in our organisation. The fact was there was a bit of a coup going on with the transgender mods, as well as some of the heterosexual mods within the actual organisation, and I was running the flight night along with a couple of other guys, and Mark Sands and Akare SP, and Akare SP got just a little bit too big for his boots. He tried to overthrow a couple of other mods who he didn't agree with, and then he went behind the scenes with was it Captain Gunner or whatever it is, his General Gunner, whatever his name was, to basically overthrow while Montoya was away on holidays with his family. All Mark Sands and I had done is written all the brevity, run all the training programs, put it all together, even gave people training manuals and stuff like that so they can get out and have flight night every week. And that's all he and I were doing. And in the end, it just became so toxic within that group of people that I then moved off and started my own organisation. And that's when Montoya paid the organisation org, CIG staff, to send people in and spy and harass and lie and make all these fantastical stories up about me to demonise me, because he thought my gameplay mechanic of espionage, outer rim security and escort services, as well as my silent black ops division, which we won't go into on here because obviously that takes away the whole purpose of that division, was a direct threat to him in the metagame and in the game itself. It'll take away from his power and position, quite sociopathic behaviour. And at no stage did he actually approach me politely or nicely and say, hey, do you plan on doing this in the metagame, or do you plan on doing this solely as an in-game mechanic thing as part of the actual game? And I said, mate, and I had this conversation, meeting with him one day on Discord, and he came out, you know, beating his chest like a complete ape and acting like a complete jock from high school. And I just sat him down and said, mate, look, you won't speak to me in that manner. You'll speak to me in the manner which I am, you know, I'm rightfully respectful of. And I have not yelled or spoken down to you at any stage during this conversation. So how about, you know, we, my game crashed out because as a update for the launcher. But the whole thing is it ended up in quite a decent conversation because he knew that coming across as a thug and a brute just didn't work, yada, yada, yada. So, look, at the end of the day, I've got that name or that reputation because Montoya's been sending in these young teenage kids who probably don't even play Star Citizen to come and make threats and talk, you know, called me mentally unhealthy and unstable. The only reason why any of that would have been said is because Babylon 6 had been infiltrated by all of the trolls and the metagamers, all the trolls and metagamers, and the owner is a German fellow, really nice guy, really smart guy, but a bit naive when it came down to, you know, internet thugs. So I obtained some, and I passed that information on to him and just left it in his hands. He then went back to the protagonist parties, including the PR, which is Organisation Org, and all the pirates that were in there and all the typical test idiots and all the other troublemakers, and said, guys, this is my organisation. We're setting up, controlled space stations that we will be running and building and owning and defending. I'm not here for drama. If you're going to cause drama, you can get out of the coalition. So then there was this Leo Giardius decided to come in and cause all drama and try to paint me as some psycho. In the end, just after a few words on mic, I made it very clear that and showed him up for what he was. And that's the thing. I unfortunately poked a hornet's nest of all the Star Schizians, which has led to this constant barrage of attacks on my channel, has made me shut down my org for now until times are needing of an organisation, and I'll just simply reinstate my current org because it's an excellent game mechanic. A lot of people will want to play, especially people that own stealth ships. So when the time's right, I'll relaunch it, and we'll go from there. But I shut that down. I've focused on YouTube. I've got in, I've done my testing. I'm in an organisation now, I won't divulge who that is. Just playing around, having chats, doing this kind of thing, talking to people. And I'm trying just to get across to the broader audience, aside from the mentally unhealthies in our community, that there are problems with Star Citizen. And those problems, they can be overcome with time. And the fact that anybody's got angry at me for saying the game's in purgatory, well, for when it comes down to dynamic server meshing, yes, it is. It's an unproved technology. It is just a word now. It's not even a concept. There is no proof of concept to support dynamic server meshing as a technology. Where we talk about static server meshing, yes, it's pre-proved, it's pre-written, it's pre-succeeded. Using much more cost-effective ways of using mocap, for example, than the way Chris Roberts did it, and save $100 million out of the spend. These things are problems that instead of people needing to just support and stick by and get angry about, just open up your ears, hear what I have to say. If you've got a genuine question, please come into the comments. Ask to talk to me on Discord. Have this conversation, right? Castian, he's done that with me now, right? And we're having fantastic conversations, and we're really doing very deep diving on all of this. And at the end of the day, guys, it's about making things better. And sadly, sometimes things have got to get worse to get better, right? Just like when you got the flu, you got to get sicker before you get better. with this Star Citizen, CIG, Robert Space Industries, they finally got rid of their infection, and that sadly was the CEO himself. And that's not the first time you'll ever hear that in history about a company. And he brought his wife and his brother in. That's an absolute recipe for disaster. You never work with family and friends. I've mentioned that. And I don't see why people would persist, especially you young kids that come in here and you're very nasty and childish and spiteful, and then you bring bots in with you. And look, at the end of the day, none of that behaviour is kept on the channel. It's removed, you're reported, and from what I've seen since January when the new users come in relation to bullying and harassment, there is a massive amount of people who have lost their channels based on my downvotes that have gone down to almost nothing. And that's the thing. I've warned everybody not to do that, because if you don't like me, you don't like me because Montoya's your best buddy, that's fine. But don't come on my channel and speak garbage and cause drama and personal attacks. And if you do have something to prove me wrong with, as I've said a million times before, please. And Castian has made a magnificent argument up, and he had many points of merit, and has opened my eyes to several things. That's the thing. I'm not perfect. My research is done on, white papers and other YouTubers' findings, as well as my own research just by going through the internet. I don't know everything. So this is why I wanted to start up the letters from the key weekly forum, where we had these kinds of meetings, because people like Castian, and there's a lot of other people who are subscribers already, who know who you are, who are constantly talking to me, feeding me this fantastic information. I'd love to get you up into these kind of episodes that we're doing, and hopefully, Castian, you can continue to do them with me moving forward, to help get the point out to the greater community, not just Star Citizen backers, but the greater community, to put pressure on these gaming companies, not just CIG, EA, Bethesda, just to name two, Activision, right, and so on and so forth, Ubisoft, etc., on to say, hey, get it done properly, otherwise you're going to have a torrent, a tsunami of complaints come in consistently, to a point where you're just going to have to do it the right way, because and complain to a point where you can't ignore it anymore, and you have to do what you're told, because you have to provide a product that we want, not a product that you market and you sell and you say it's awesome and hype it up. You have to also provide what you're promising, and that's something Star Citizen has not achieved to date. Things are wildly different from the original promises, but as I said, once it goes retail as a viable minimum viable product, in time, then bring those things back and make it the Star Citizen we were promised. Everyone will be happy. If you never do that, that's when people are going to complain and lawsuits will start. What do you reckon, mate?
Well, I reckon that you're completely on point with that. I think the big thing that I wanted to just, that a lot of people didn't even know is that I think that, a lot of people don't even know that you're a concierge backer. Oh, this guy's, crapping on the product, comparisons like Derek Smart to you, but that's disingenuous, because Derek Smart, and he wanted to be a project. I think that you came in as a concierge, you came in bright-eyed, very optimistic and very positive. And you had that positivity, and then you had a very, very negative experience. Like, once your eyes were open to it, couldn't go back to just being bright-eyed and happy, because you saw how toxic and how awful the Star Citizen community can be. Not that Star Citizen community is toxic, but every community has toxicity in it. They have the bad players, the bad members in it, and it can. And your experience can be shaped on how. What's interacted, what comes by. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're a concierge member. You're very passionate. You really do support the project, and it's important to hold CIG's feet to the fire. Not to say that they're incompetent that they're awful and that, this is a scam and it'll never get done, because I think we both agree that it will get done and that they do good things, but we got to be eyes open to the bad things. Say, okay, they're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't in a lot of ways. So it's a very complex issue. Like, oh, you did this. Well, all the backers are yelling for this. So it is a complex issue, but you got to give CIG credit, all the credit that they are due. Also got to give them all the criticism that they're due, because you can't live in an echo chamber where you only give them positive feedback or you only give them criticism. If you look at my forum post on in Spectrum, I give them a heavy think of both. I say 3.8 has a lot of really great stuff in it, but you guys rushed to get it out before you could go on vacation. You did. Every single thing that you put in 3.8, every single game system is bugged in some type of way. One, picking up packages is bugged. Ship, the cargo doesn't show up in the ship sometimes. Every mining kit bugs where the lasers don't work. Every single gameplay loop. You go to do a combat, enemies don't spawn. Every single gameplay loop is bugged. And I'm not saying, oh, CIG is awful because it's all bugged. I'm saying it is what it is, and say, hey, you knew what you were doing when you released this. You should have kept it in the public test universe to iron out all this before you bring it. And just be real with it. Don't be a cultist, a white knight cultist that say, Citizen Tech Talk, he says that Star Citizen isn't perfect. Attack him. Realize the criticisms. Realize what they did well. And just be a realist about it and be real with it. Don't just be on one side or the other. I listen to your channel, which has a lot of how it won't work and how things, how the things that could go wrong and all that. And I listen to other channels like Salty Mike and Board Gamer who talk about how it will work. So I get both sides of the aisle, and I think getting both sides, that's important.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I'm not trying to just be a naysayer. I'm trying to bring perspective to the conversation, because, look, there are so many people that will go, oh, it's awesome and it's wonderful and, just soon and oh, look, that's just a little thing and we don't have to worry about that for much longer. Though we need to stop pandering and putting, talcum powder on Chris Roberts or whoever's bottom now and put a nappy on them and give them a cuddle. We've got to say, hey, that was naughty or bad behaviour, or no, you really screwed up there. Let's fix this. And they will not know unless people are vocal about it, and very vocal about it, because CIG has really closed the doors to feedback. If we put enough public pressure on the technical aspects of the game development, and that's what I do. I'm a tech channel, and I'm the only tech channel covering Star Citizen in depth and saying, look, this is all well and good and there's stuff received, and I've actually said that in previous videos too. I've even said that in the most recent video. But at the same time, we need to have critical assessment of what needs to be fixed. We can't just ignore what needs to be fixed, because if we don't push the actual subject, we're never going to get the game out, because it's just, oh, well, then the backers are just too nice. They don't care. We'll just take advantage of that and take time and, get it done when we get it done. Who cares? Let's go for a pina colada. And that's the whole thing. Any business in the world, if it does not get negative feedback and critical feedback, it will never grow, and it will never truly know what its actual client base, its customer base wants. Look at Apple. Apple have been bringing out the same mobile phone for God knows how long, and who's buying it now? Hardly anybody. Apple are so detached from their audience, and they just believe, well, if you've got an Apple iMac, you have to have an Apple iPhone. You have to have an Apple Watch. You have to have a Fitbit that's compatible with, your Apple phone or your watch. And honestly, the whole ecosystem argument where you can't get out of it and you've got to pay for the privilege when you're in it, it's what Star Citizen has molded itself off to date. And we need to break that mold very, very quickly now been a change of management and leadership and ways things are getting done. So let's make sure that they themselves are very aware that we are an Android audience, not an iPhone audience. And we want choice. We want options. We want more than what a tiny little ecosystem can offer. You're promising stuff, we want what you're promising. Otherwise, your product will fail. And this is why Android is so much more massively successful than Apple will ever be. Because it's a platform that offers you all the things you want and more for nowhere near the price, nowhere near the problems, and it's a better operating system altogether. With Star Citizen, offer us all this stuff, that's great, but don't lock us into an ecosystem of what you're going to provide to us when you want to. You need to now really step it up and deliver a massive amount of content to make it a quality of life playable game now, and something that people will just get on, I don't want to say the word religiously, but addictively at least, to play with their friends. And this is what Star Citizen, when it was in their little miniverse, this was our life. Most of us, including myself, spent every spare second of my day away from work and sleep, and missing out sleep, just to get online and play Body Flight Night, or run some missions or run some mock missions and stuff like that, because it is such a bloody fantastic game. It just needs to be made a game now, no longer a project, no longer complacent, no longer lazy, and no longer fiscally irresponsible. Just get stuff done each quarter and do not make any excuses for why stuff didn't get done. If stuff didn't get done, well, you need to look at your management structure, your process, as well as your milestone aggregation charts, Gantt charts, and actually look at who is not performing and replace them with a new staff member. If that's your managers, well, it's only a manager. They're not, irreplaceable. God, there are so many other more professional people out there than Brian, and bloody Jared Huckabee. I know Huckabee's his name, but I hate him with passion. He's an arrogant, ignorant, unknowledgeable git. But anyway, moving forward. So yeah, guys, look, Star Citizen can happen now with current tech. Finally, they've pulled their head in. They've realised reality. The feet are back on the ground. Thank God, 2020, we get Squadron 42, we get some really cool stuff happen with SC at the same time this year. We start seeing this now standard of 3.8 as a bare minimum viable basis for pre-alpha, yeah? Instead of what we've had in past, 3.5, 3.0, God, right? 3.8 is now the new minimum standard. And it just gets better and better and better on top of there. And I think everybody will be stoked with that. But we need more missions, and we need more stuff to do, actual content within the context of the game that we've got now, to do things in, to drive us into doing group missions and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, I am not an aggressive, nasty person. I'm just intolerant of nasty people. I'm a teacher. I teach people because I care. I help people get a career. And I don't have time for children being nasty to anybody, let alone on my YouTube channel, for bringing that discussion to the table. And Salty Mike even had a tantrum, and I used his content. And not because he used his content, because he was trying to backtrack about what he said, compared to his once a time long ago best mate had told me about his experience while Salty Mike was there. Salty Mike he's got his, and good for him. I don't know where he's going with that. I don't think anybody does anymore. He has really moved away from being, twerk, to Salty Mike now, and I just don't know where he's headed. I wish him luck. You got DG, who is, I think, starting to now come back a bit to more of his roots, which is good. He did go a little bit weird for a while and really was looking after the kids on the channel, and it wasn't a good idea, and I think he's realised that now in his own wisdom, because he's a super smart guy. And Board Gamer, look, honestly, Board Gamer is getting more analytical and more professional with every video he has done in the last 6 months to date. I've never been a fan boy of any other of the Star Citizen YouTubers, but Board Gamer I'm starting to warm up to. He's getting more and more serious about the game, and this started almost a year ago with him, and now he's getting very technical, very serious, and very honest. And you know, hats off to your Board Gamer. Really appreciate that, because I can't be the only voice of reason out there. So yeah, but mate, what's your perspective on everything we've covered today? Is there anything else we need to add?
Well, there's nothing else I need to add. I'm a complete, I'm in complete agreement with Board Gamer. I've been subscribed to him, and recently I've just been watching every video. You almost gotta watch every single video he's coming out with, because they're so good. They're so and you know, he's covering other stuff that other people's that cover, you know, because there's only a limited amount of information. But he goes so in depth. I would say, you know. You're not even the type to argue. You know, me and you, we've disagreed on a lot of stuff, and we haven't argued about it. We just debated, and it's not even gotten heated. It's just gotten, you know, casual. While, you know, you sit over there and eat your muffin, and I sit over here and drink my little beer, and we just chill and talk. And I would say anybody that would have a disagreement with you, you know, reach out to you on your YouTube, say, hey, you know, I disagree. Can we talk about it? And I feel like you would say yes. Do you agree with that? If they said, "Hey, I disagree. Do you want to talk?" Would you say yes?
Well, that's the thing, right? To learn is to listen, and that's the thing I try to teach my painful children on a daily: is 2 ears, 1 mouth, 2 eyes, 2 hands. You know, you don't need to use your mouth for everything. It's only 10% of your day. The 90% of your day is everything but your mouth. Children being children and the Z generation just don't get it. But that's the thing. I am always willing to listen. I am always, and especially if someone comes to me with proof, I will shut my mouth and apologise immediately. There is no question about that. If I've got something wrong, on the rare occasion I do get stuff wrong, or I've read a white paper and I've misconstrued or misunderstood it, and someone corrects me, for example, I'll be like, oh shit, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. I'm so sorry. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And thank you. You know, I'll make a correction video on that. I've said that a lot in my channel too. I don't want to argue with people. I want to get to the bottom of it, because end of the day, it's a computer game. 2, I just want everyone involved, that's the internal and external community and passers-by, right, walk-ins to the channel, to be able to come into the channel and go, right, this guy is talking about facts, proof, and evidence. He's backing it up with actual visual, written or video content to support his claims. And that's what I try to do in every single video I do, because I don't want people to take anything I say on my word only. I want them to see that I've gone and got the evidence to prove I'm right. And if I have got something wrong, bring it to my attention. If you know something I have not covered or I do not know, bring it to my attention. God, I'm a teacher. Teachers, the best teachers in the world are the best learners. And I learn every day, you know. And that's the thing, Castian, mate. Like, you have brought stuff to my attention which is strongly meritful and has very, very strong position in discussion. And, you know, no one has been wrong yet between us in our conversations from day one. We both had very strong merit and very strong position, and we've both been 100% right. And, you know, you see it from your position, and I see things from my position. But at no stage have I said you're wrong. I've just, you know, or even really, really disagreed. I've gone, oh, yeah, well, that's, you know, I can see where you're coming from. And that's the whole thing. I don't want drama. I don't live for drama. I hate drama with passion. I'm a problem solver, not a problem maker. So, yeah, that's the thing. I'm glad Board Gamer's coming into it. I'm glad we've met, mate, because you've helped so much. Show now our community on the in and outside of Star Citizen that there has to be quid pro quo, and there has to be that fairness in this. in discussion, and people's beliefs respected and appreciated and taken on board for what they are, and go, look, and in some cases disprove or prove a point. That's the thing. Adults and quality human beings should be able to communicate like this without pushing an agenda. Like, look at politics, right? There's no one right in politics. They're all wrong. But people believe in certain sides that they are right. And that's in itself a fallacy. It's wrong in its own statement. So, yeah, and being wrong is part of being human. Christ, I didn't get to 41 years of age being right my whole life. I used to be wrong all the time. How about you?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I'm more of a, I try to see the best and have faith, and I think the last thing I want to say about it is I saw the kind of the feedback of, you said the guy went to the CIG offices, he saw it, and he asked for a refund. But if you look at the time frame that happened, when it took place, the game did look like a scam at that point. When around 3.0 and right after 3.0 was released, I was sweating bullets. Like, dude, they promised me all this, and this is straight garbage, man. It's all buggy. It's all broken. There's nothing here. It's straight garbage. And I freaking, I remember logging in, and I would go to my ship, and like the freaking ship would be disabled on the pad, and I was like, dude, I got straight scammed. And that was at the peak of Derek Smart, when he was at the peak of it, saying all of it. And because I also listen to, not that I support Derek Smart, but I also listen to the naysayers, because that's important. I don't just want to live in an echo chamber. So it did look like a scam at that point. There should be a time in any citizen that's followed this thing from the beginning that said that entertain the possibility that the game was a scam. It's nowhere near a scam. Now, I'm not saying it's a scam. What I'm saying was, there was a time in the history where you could have thought it was. You could have believed the possibility that it was. And yeah, that's it, man. That's it. There's a lot more for us to talk about. We there's a whole lot of subjects that we touched off of here, that such as switching over to the Unreal Engine and stealth mechanics, and all the other different mechanics that we could get into that later. But I think it's good for tonight, man. And, it was really a good pleasure speaking to you. I recommend anybody who disagrees or has concerns, or share your concerns, to just message him, discuss it with him. Every time I left a comment on your channel, you were quick to respond. You're passionate to respond. You didn't get, if you look at his answers, you didn't give one word answers. It was like full paragraphs full of shit that he was responding with, because he's so passionate about this subject, passionate about this game, passionate about the community. He wants the best for it. And he's just going about it in his own way, an Australian way, but your own way nonetheless.
Jeez, guys. Well, that's the thing. Us Aussies, we're very dry and straight to the point, like a hammer and a nail. We just don't see the need for social etiquette. It's not the Australian way. But no, look, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. And guys, yeah, please don't feel that I'm, some horrible person. Just understand that I want the best for all of us, as Kestian said. I just want everyone to have the same bloody quality game experience as everyone expects. And if we've got to, get a bit loud and complain a bit and push back against the popularist belief system, well, I think it's time. I think we've given it 8 years doing it that way. I think we need to have a change of mind share to say, hey, we're only complaining. We're not putting it down. We're being critical about certain technical elements that need to be fixed or achieved. And we've waited 8 years. We're 4.5 years late on the project just to get to where we are now. And that's the thing. We should be leaps and bounds ahead with at least 3 or 4 actual solar systems, and maybe, the introduction of the first aliens race through the lore. And, that's where we should be right now on the calendar. But we're not, and this is why I think it's time we start, being heard to get it finished. Then when it's finished, then, you know, I'll always, you know, continue to do my videos and say, look, you know, this has really been really awesome, blah, blah, this new edition is great, but it has this problem, has that problem. It has been put through to the, you know, the Issues Council, has been taken on board, hopefully, and they'll be fixing that within the next 2 weeks. And that's what I'm talking about, that turnaround time to actually action the problem. Now, at no stage so far have any of the problems been actually actioned. They've been covered up with other problems to make them less of a problem. It's like you say to your brother when you're growing up, oh, you know, why'd you punch me in the arm? It hurts. Whack, they punched in the other arm. Now you don't have to worry about that arm, right? Doesn't hurt anymore. No, this one bloody hurts. So it's the same thing. Instead of taking away from focus from one problem onto another, it's time to just fix problems and not continue just to, you know, put it under the rug. And look, board get to do this too. I'm doing this still, obviously. Castian, I hope the audience really understands. We are two very different sides of this discussion, but we are mature and adult enough to be respectful of each other and to be able to have this conversation to demonstrate to the rest of the community it can be done. And you don't have to get nasty and white knight and aggro. Just talk about it. And if you've got a problem, get on Discord. This is what it's for. And you know, come in and chat. And you can chat to anybody in our Discord. It doesn't have to be just Star Citizen. So anyway, Castian, thank you so much. We've obviously got a lot more videos to make. And yeah, we just every week, how about, or every 2 weeks, we focus on a weekly or a bi-weekly video together. How's that sound?
It's great, but finding with me in the next few nights. Will you agree to that?
All right, okay, you twisted my arm.
All right, I'll show you there's a secret asteroid belt that's not listed that you can't even quantum to. I'll show you where that is. I'll show you the beauty of the planets. You'll really get the experience of being on the planets, being close to it, really, and experiencing the beauty. There'll be times where you'll feel like you're on Dantooine or Tatooine, on Star Wars, and the freaking sun is coming up over the desert. And it'll feel like that. So just wait.
All right, I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. And yeah, we'll definitely be getting some footage of that too, doing some in-game capture as well.
All right, good night, man.
All right, mate. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. See you.
Cheers. All right, guys. So that pretty much ends up the video. It's been a bit of a long one, but at the end of the day, yeah, I don't hate. I don't want to cause drama. I just want the message to get out that we as a community need to push the subject now and get things done. Yeah, so anyway, as per usual and as per always, peace out. Cheers.